When we talk about sustainability in wine and in the wine industry, it's often directed at the actual vineyard environment and the farming of the grapes. However, did you know that nearly 50% of a wine's carbon footprint is impacted by the packaging that it's in? So 29% of wine's carbon footprint comes from the traditional wine glass bottles. Those traditional wine glass bottles can weigh anywhere from 300 grams to 900 grams. By the time you add wine to that bottle, you're often looking at a shipping weight of nearly 2.5 or more, 3.5 pounds. So that really starts to contribute to the carbon footprint. So how, as consumers or as wineries, do we approach a more sustainable packaging option? Well, first of all, we can start thinking about the bottle weights that we're working with. So moving towards more lighter weight bottles is a very immediate way to have a direct impact on wine packaging and shipping standards and the carbon footprint of your wine. So moving from a 650 gram bottle down to a 300 gram bottle is much more effective and more impactful to the shipping costs of that wine, and also how the glass is made to make it a lot more carbon friendly. We need to get away as consumers and as winemakers, getting away from the notion that a big, heavy glass bottle equates to greater wine quality. It's simply not true. And it really doesn't impact how the wine ages or performs over time as well in the cellar. So we also need to consider not just glass recycling or the recyclability of the wine, but also how much recycled content is already in this single glass bottle of wine. So asking your glass suppliers how much recycled content do they put in their wine, in their glass bottles, and our ability to purchase that at scale in the wine industry, whether it's in the clear flint glass or the darker green burgundy glass as well. The other option that I'm really loving at the moment that is really taking off around Oregon and hopefully in California and Washington soon as well is the notion of a refillable, rewashable bottle. So as many counties are moving towards not recycling glass because of its difficulty and separation from other recycled products. A lot of counties around the US are not even recycling glass anymore. So the need for a refillable, reusable bottle, taking the life cycle of a bottle into consideration, is really, I think, where some of the wine industry or most of the wine industry should be headed. So you can see this bottle, Rivino. It has a really lovely glass swirl on it, and on the bottom it has the map of Oregon. This is an Oregon-based company, and their goal is to eliminate single-use packaging and really transform the beverage industry. So these bottles are collected from wineries, from businesses across the US, and shipped to facilities that have the capacity to wash and reuse these bottles and send them back out into our industry to be refilled with wine. And consumers get a really great kick out of that. It's not only recyclable, but it's refillable. So don't put this into your recycling. We need to start making places for containment of refillable bottles to be picked up and shipped and re-cleaned and then repurposed back out into the wine industry and across the nation. And this is going to take off as more of us as wineries are able to get access to these bottles, educate our consumers, educate the distributors, the wholesalers, the retailers in the industry, and make places like Whole Foods, I know Erewhon is already doing it in California, but making Whole Foods and these local stores places where you can recollect these wine bottles and send back to the wine regions, whether you're in Texas, California, Washington, Oregon, New York, all over the US and Canada, and refill these bottles. Another option that you can consider for also choosing wines that are packaged more sustainably is the move away from needing to have a closure. Those foil or lead tin closures are really bad for the environment, and not only are they expensive, but they're just pure waste. Corks these days are really well sealed, and if you're really worried about something getting into your wine or your wine needing to be covered, then look at a wax cap as well. A wax is a more sustainable beeswax product that can be applied and then very easy to recycle and really reusable. And it looks great as well. So those are some considerations as a consumer and as a winemaker, how we think about the quality of wine and how it's presented to us, and what this presentation says over something that has a lot more packaging that's really not required and cannot be recycled. We also need to stop being so precious about canned wine. Cans are a container that stays in the system. Aluminum or aluminium is recyclable and usually stays in our system for much longer than glass does. Another component that we can consider also is PET Tetra packs for wine, and also the use of bladders or bag-in-box wines. We need to get away from the fallacy that the wine that's contained in those boxes is going to be of lesser quality than the wine that's in this bottle. That's often not the case any longer, as winemakers, importers, distributors become more and more conscious about sustainability and reuse of packaging. So those bag-in-box, you can recycle the outside. Those inner boxes help keep the wine fresher for longer, and so make it a more sustainable product. There are just a few ways that packaging of wine impacts the environment and the sustainability of our wine products and our wine industry. And so we really need to continue to think about how we engage with sustainable packaging products and what we're really supporting with our dollar going forward. So support those producers that are having sustainable conversations and start thinking about why packaging matters and how you can really impact the wine environment, the sustainability of wine through your purchases.